This talk is to provide some foundation for a new way of looking at Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. The old way of looking at it is the way that's been presented by the institutions. They can muster up little more than 5 prostitutes in a Barcelona brothel, a bunch of African masks and some Iberian sculpture. Doesn't tell us a lot about the painting. Picasso was employed for about 9 months creating this painting. There was a good reason for that. He didn't want people to know what he was doing, but he wanted to leave something for posterity. The correct way of looking at Les Demoiselles is more or less along the lines of a painter called Archimboldo. As you can see, you've got back-to-back fish and aquatic imagery. Everything is coming up against another thing, and it's all related to underwater creatures. And that's precisely what Picasso's done in Les Demoiselles. And so those fracture lines that the art historians think is some protean form of cubism, they've completely misread. They're actually borders of concealed imagery. So the overall appearance, because of that, not because he's experimenting with some new form of painting, he's working in a traditional way along the lines of Archimboldo. This is a reversible. And as you can see, the still life, when it's turned over, it forms a face. In the same tradition as this, Picasso's been taking it further. He's hiding things upside down, sideways, and in other ways. So this is the way you need to think of Les Demoiselles d'Avignon in order to understand it. Picasso was working in the same vein as Archimboldo. Despite the fact that the historians have known about Archimboldo for a great deal of time, they've never put 2 and 2 together and associated Picasso with this kind of tradition. But that's very much the game he was playing. Thing is, he was so good at hiding things, they didn't see it. Now, in Les Demoiselles, we've got an extraordinary amount of hidden imagery. There are layers of it, so you want to imagine this as a layer cake. We have the superficial aspect of the 5 prostitutes in a brothel. The next layer is the aquatic imagery. As you can see, there's a fish obscuring the eye of this African masked character. This has been highlighted, and this is the painting as you see it in the museum. Let's have a look at another one. We've got a fish swimming around the leftmost figure. So Picasso's used the idea of the hair to conceal a fish. So here we have a fish. The tail's been very clearly defined. The suggestions of the bony structure of the ribs of the fish and this pointed orange head with a diamond-shaped eye. This is going to transform into 2 more images. The same blue area can now be seen as another fish. We've got this scooped-faced fish with an eye and a tail in the eyebrows. It's not really an African mask, it's something else. And this is where the historians really need to revise their perspective on this and their perspective on the origin of Cubism. In this image, what you're looking at is a concealed depiction of a small one-sailed sailing boat with a sort of eye-shaped flag coming off the top of the mast. This is relevant to the deeper level of the picture and to the maritime theme of the sailor and so on in the studies. The deeper level of the picture involves the death of Osiris and his ascent. He takes a boat and he goes to the stars, and this is one of the elements in the concealed cartoon epic. In another orientation, that shape of that hand becomes the mouth and the lips of a very large fish. What you've got is a beautiful degree of poetry going on in the imagery. The Les Demoiselles is a wonderful demonstration of how poetic Picasso can be. 2 fish images which then transform into the sail of a sailing boat. So you've got interrelated suggestions in the same forms. On a more profound level, it's loaded with meaningful content. It is not the superficial modern art picture that gave rise to Cubism. This is a completely wrong way of viewing this picture. You will never understand Les Demoiselles properly if you believe that. it came to my attention the black lining on this hand was incomplete. This hand is probably the most representative presentation of cloisonne in the entire painting, but there's something wrong with it. It doesn't go down the arm. It's absent from the top of the thumb and the knuckle on the thumb. It's absent from the knuckle of that finger. So there's something going on. It's a reference to another marine creature. So I just wanted to show you that in her hand is a sea spider. Bye for now.